Welcome back! Today's video is about going beneath the surface, literally, into the hidden networks of mushroom mycelium that can bring life back to the earth. For decades, so much of our soil has been damaged, stripped of life by chemicals, monocultures, and practices that disrupt nature's balance. But mycelium works like nature's repair system, rebuilding the connections between plants, microorganisms, and the soil itself. My guest, Kathryn Kay, is here to share how to revitalizing dead soil with mycelium can restore our food, our ecosystems, and the health of everyone, people and animals who depend on them. This is more than a conversation, it's a call to healing. Hi everyone, today we're going deeper, underground actually, into the incredible world of mycelium and the living soil. I am joined once again by Kathryn Kay, a true expert in fungi and regenerative agriculture. In this video, we won't be talking about mushrooms on our plates, but about what's happening beneath our feet, the hidden network of mycelium and microorganisms that connect, protect, and nourish all life on Earth. Kathryn, welcome again. Thank you so much for coming back and presenting your science that is so precious for everybody.
Thank you so much. I'm excited about today's presentation. We're going to be talking about soil and living soil and why living soil is important and why we can't separate the life on the whole planet from the earth, from the soil, specifically the topsoil. So the purpose of my company, MycoEarth, is to revitalize dead soil with mushroom mycelium. For those of you that don't know what mycelium is, some people say mycelium is, so they're the same thing. If you think about that, you could think that it's the root structure of a mushroom. So it's the part that you normally don't see. But if we revitalize dead soil with mushroom mycelium, plants can nourish the people and the animals that eat them. So as a PhD in nutrition, my love, I can tell you, for those of you that are listening, my friend Sandra can tell you that the purpose of food, number one, is nutrition, and number two is pleasure and flavor and so forth. So we're talking about the quality of the nutrition that you can actually get from the plant that is grown in the soil, okay? And we're going to talk about how soil is being killed and then how to revitalize it. So soil,
and that's a good point, how to revitalize it.
Thank you.
That's great.
We have hundreds of thousands of acres in the United States that is absolutely dead soil, and no new soil is being created. And pretty soon we're going to be down to the hard pan, which is too hard for a shovel. There's no nutrient in it worth to speak of for the plants. And until we take care of the soil that we have and then we promote what creates new soil, it's not pretty. So you and I are here today to talk about how that is so easily possible to build new, fresh soil. So let's understand that soil is the source of all life on Earth. So even if you are looking at, let's say, a walrus or a shark or any sort of marine animal in the ocean, they too are dependent on the soil from dry land in order to have the gut biome that they need to stay healthy. Because what happens is if the soil is alive and the winds pick up the soil and drop it in the ocean, then those microbes that are beneficial, and we're speaking specifically of fungi, yeast, and bacteria, they get into the gut biome of the marine animals and keep them happy. They are the pre and probiotics of the marine world, dry land soil. So I think that's an interesting thing. Let's take a look at the job description of soil. So it comes in three parts. And the first time I read this, my mind was blown because soil's job description is to sustain plant and animal productivity. Most people think it's just plants, but actual animal productivity. It doesn't matter if we're talking about a cow, on a farm or a deer in the forest or any, including insects, including fish. And it's also, its purpose is to maintain and enhance air and water quality. So when I've studied this, and I was just so interested in how the dirt, the soil, maintains water and air. And then it dawned on me, what would die if there wasn't enough soil to actually do its job? Because what doesn't need air and water? There are some things on the planet, but it would not be an earth that we know. It would not be the life that we know without it. And then obviously, soil supports human health with the plants and the nutrition that it provides. And then also, I know for my home, it's what they call stick built. They're 2x4s, which was a tree. So within the job description, to sustain plant and animal productivity, to make sure that water and air quality is not dangerous, and it's to support human health and habitation. That's a big job.
That's huge. That's absolutely
huge. Let's look at the lower right-hand corner of this picture. You see the red square there. Blow that up and you'll get what's larger on the screen here. So this, to me, is absolute perfection.
Yes.
To a farmer, this looks like a nightmare because he's seeing birds that eat the seed and mice that eat the seed. He's seeing gophers and moles that dig holes and eat their crops. He's seeing the insects that also eat his crops. He's seeing earthworms, but doesn't even know if they're in there or what they do because these things are not taught at that level. They also know that within the soil is pathogenic bacteria and fungi, which means that's where the plant diseases come from. So when they look at this, they see critters, they see stealing of crops, they see ruining of food and plant disease. So I can't blame them. But here's an interesting thought. The little insects that you see there, believe it or not, their dead bodies have so much to do with the health of the soil. For every person on the planet, there is an estimated 1.4 million insects. That's mind-blowing. There's 8 billion people on the planet. So 1.4 million insects per person, unbelievable. But without their bodies to be redistributed and worked back into the soil, we would have soil that is so compacted that plant roots couldn't get through it. So there's magic within the system. So let's think about what the farmers are looking at here. They want profit from their crops. They want crops that will actually produce fruit. They need the corn, right? They need the barley. They need what it is that they want to grow, so they can't have the plant disease. So here's what they're doing. They're taking products like glyphosate. I so have a problem with this product, I can't even say it correctly.
You're not the only one.
Like, ooh. So it's an herbicide, which means it kills plants, right? So if you read the first line of the ingredients and the description of what the product is, it says that it's non-selective, which means that it's an herbicide that's going to kill a plant that it touches. It's not selective about which ones they kill. Okay. Broad spectrum weed control, of course, that means exactly the same thing as non-selective. So everything that it touches dies. Okay. So instead of having living soil with the beneficial microbes, the beneficial bacteria, and beneficial yeast that, as we've discussed, would be picked up by the wind and given to marine animals, for example, this product and every other herbicide out there kills it. So now you have dead soil, no life in the soil whatsoever. Okay. From a farmer's perspective, he's taking care of the weeds and plant disease. He's nuked them. He has killed them. Okay.
Right.
So That's the point there. So, in his mind, and because of the harmful chemical representatives that sell the product, they tell farmers that the soil is its only job is to hold the roots of the plant, that we're going to help you do the rest of the process. Okay, so killing everything seems to be the way to go. So if we take a look at where the plants are, let's take a look at the top three pictures, including the large one. This is fertilizer burn. So the reason why they're adding fertilizer is because they've just now killed the microbes in the soil that
Yes.
break down organic matter to put the nutrients available for the plants. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's back up a little bit. The beneficial soil microbes come across nutrient in the soil. And an interesting fact is that most soils contain the 18 nutrients that it takes to grow a plant. Okay? Already there. No reason for fertilizer. Here's the problem. The plant root can't take the nutrient up to be able to get the benefit of the nutrient. It's not bioavailable to the plant root. And the reason for that is the way nature fixes this problem is that when the beneficial microbe or bacteria, the yeast, the bacteria, and the fungi, when they want lunch, and what they do is that they nibble on that molecule. Technically, they spit on it. They exude an enzyme that breaks the molecule open. Once the molecule is open and they have lunch, that molecule is now bioavailable for the plant.
Right.
Okay, so the plant can eat what's in the soil already for most soil types if and when there is microbes in the soil, spit, have lunch, and everybody gets to eat. Okay, that's how that works. So, but now that the glyphosate has killed everything, we've got to fertilize the plants, right? There's no food in the soil anymore. So they fertilize. Now, these top three pictures are plant damage from fertilizer. So here, the product that is supposed to make nutrients available for the soil is actually damaging the plant. It's burning the leaves in the upper left. The picture that's on the upper in the center, that yellow streak is burnt.
They did a good job, have to say. Oh my God.
Right. It's a poison.
It's a disaster. Yeah.
Yeah, this fertilizer is not poison, but it burns. And then you can see a close-up picture of the leaf there that's on the right. So those are very common. Okay, so they're burnt. Now let's look at the lower picture on the left. That is salt. That's called sodic soil. It is so laden with salts from fertilizers that it's killed the soil. Anything that was alive in the soil is going to die. And as you can tell, it's also killing the roots of the plants that the farmer tried to grow in that field. But this is prolonged use of fertilizer. Okay. Now, when a field gets like this, and there's hundreds and thousands of acres in the United States of farmland that look like this, their only option is to bring in, their first option is to sell the property for resorts or hotels or tract homes. Okay. Because the soil's no good anymore. Sometimes what they do is they bring in bulldozers and they scrape off all of that salt and topsoil. And then the bulldozers very expensively take it to the only 3 or 4 incinerators on the planet to burn all of it. And then it's buried. So what are you left with? If you don't sell that property and you scrape the soil away, what you're left with is hardpan. That is too hard for the plant root to get through. And there's fewer nutrients in it than even the salt-laden land that we're looking at.
It's pretty hard, Kathryn, to keep my calm, I have to say, when I hear those kind of things. I'm trying to stay neutral.
It is hard. It's hard for both
And
of us.
just here's your information, but that's really hard not to react to it.
Now, remember that, I mean, have you ever had a house plant that had the
Yes,
white crusty around the pot in the house plant?
right.
That
Mm-hmm.
too is the salt from the fertilizer.
Mm.
Okay? So, there's good news in this, I promise. In the meantime, we're going to take a look at pesticides and herbicides again. This little gopher has a good question. Do you also eat these carrots that some people eat raw, and hopefully they do, with your mask on,
Yeah.
while you are carrying bones, skull, and crossbones, right?
Mm.
Obviously poison. Obviously poison. Enough said with that, because if I said more, we would be here for the next day and a half. The picture off to the right there, it says warning pesticides. Okay, um, because they are flammable, and it says fire will cause toxic fumes. So
Mm.
not only is it toxic within the soil, but sometimes it catches fire.
Nice.
Right. So the picture off to the right of that is of kidney, to remind us that kidney disease, the people that are living and growing and having families and so forth near large agricultural areas in the United States, have kidney disease that are killing them. In those same areas, fetuses actually have these chemicals in their bloodstream.
Mm-hmm.
They cause cancer. They are known to cause cancer. As of January 2024, Monsanto, the company that makes Roundup, has settled more than 100,000 separate lawsuits, paying out $11 billion as of May in
Jeez.
2022. There is more lawsuits still on the books that have not been settled. The bottom line of it is, and I'm going to go back and talk about this whale that I have in my mind in the ocean. They have the same, they're washing up on shore, Sandra. They have the same exact cancers that are showing up in people, because instead of having the prebiotic, probiotic, beneficial microbes go into the soil, they're getting this that is picked up and taken too. Okay. So this isn't pretty. For people, a lot of times it comes in the form of reproductive cancers.
Mm.
Okay.
Yes.
Men
And
are getting breast cancer at an alarming rate.
well, we talked about it last time, but also the fact that so many children have cancer at such a young age
Mhm.
would make sense, that
Absolutely.
with that kind of things. And also the fact that Monsanto had to pay already over 11 billion, like in May 2022. It's not far ago.
That's
And
exactly right.
and it means that if they're ready to do it and still doing it today, even with the lawsuits, it means they make so much more money that they don't care
Exactly.
about it.
Exactly. That is so true. Now, the Bayer company, the Bayer aspirin company, has purchased Monsanto, and
Mm,
they are doing their best to
exactly.
create a new narrative around the product. Okay. So, yes, I was in Tractor Supply in Prescott a couple of months ago and took a picture of a bottle of glyphosate. It was a gallon and a half. It was $50. And I thought to myself, people in their gardens have the same mentality that the farmer has.
Mm,
They've got the weeds, they've got the birds, they've got the problem, and it just makes sense, unless of course you know what the results are. The process makes sense. These things are causing us problems. They cost us money, they cost us time, they gotta go. Okay. So it's on the shelf. It just remains on the shelf.
incredible. Mhm.
Yes. So this is the same picture that we saw before. In my mind, this is perfection. We've already talked about the insects, the bodies that build up the soil. We have talked about the fact that the earthworms here will actually create pockets where air can come into the soil. And we've talked about the bacteria and the microbes that break down organic matter, because unless, of course, you're trying to farm on a compost pile, you need compost. You need fresh organic material, post-living things to break down to make fresh topsoil, because the fungi, the bacteria, and the yeast that actually break apart the dead organic material is the source of making fresh topsoil. We have to have more topsoil. So the other thing is that the fungi that is in the soil, let's say that somebody bought a mushroom grow kit for their kitchen, and it was a culinary chef quality wonderful thing, and they put what was left over into the soil. That mushroom mycelium, again, the root structure, is going to go and find what you see at about 5 o'clock in that picture, the predatory nematode. That is the microscopic worm that has disease that eats the plant roots. Not a good thing. Okay? The fungi will kill that and break it apart and have lunch. So it not only breaks down the dead organic material, and usually oyster mushroom mycelium doesn't kill anything that's living, but it'll kill that, which is beneficial to the soil. Okay?
That's funny, Kathryn, because it's really, like you said, it's a question of point of view, of perception, how you see that. Nature is so intelligent. Everything is at its place. And if you're not going into, you don't put a stick into the wheel, like we say in French, into it, everything is perfect. And there's so much to parallel with what's going on in the body, with the gut and the microbiota in the gut. It's exactly the same process.
That's exactly right. I recently saw one of your most recent videos on your YouTube channel where you match the soil microbiome to the human microbiome. And Sandra, that was one of the most impactful lessons that I've ever had.
Oh, thank you so much.
It was perfection. And I am proud of you for getting that word out, because it is critically important to the health of everyone that is on this planet.
Thank you so much, Kathryn.
You're welcome. I'd like to make a final statement about this picture. If I personally were the gardener here and I had a bird problem, a mouse problem, a critter problem, what I would do is I would use the bird netting to keep the birds off of my grapes or my fruits of some sort. The other thing that I would do for the critters that are on the ground is that I would create what's called a trap crop. A trap crop is the same kind of thing that you're growing in your garden, except in your mind, you put your garden in the center, and then you create areas around your garden where you plant a little bit of cabbage or a little bit of tomatoes or a little bit of maybe seed of something.
That's very smart.
Because the animals coming towards your garden are going to be full and satisfied with the trap crops that you put along the side. And it doesn't take very much. You probably only need to put the traps out like every 4 weeks.
So yes, you sacrifice a little. You sacrifice a little to keep what you want to keep.
Exactly.
Also, you can add some aromatic plants like rosemary or lavender or mint or those kind of things that throw their nose away. And so you can do these kind of things too.
Absolutely. So there's ways to mitigate absolutely everything that's here. So this is why this is perfect to me, because also not only are we growing a crop and we're able to eat it, it's highly nutritious and flavorful. because the foods that are grown in this sort of a setting are more flavorful and have more nutrition in them than crops that are grown in soil that is essentially at this point dead, right? So let's talk about the answer. There are two types of fungi that I want to share about how they absolutely change the dynamic in your soil. One is called mycorrhizal fungi. Now, again, myco means fungi, rhizal means root. So, if you look at the picture to the right, let me tell you about this. So, you see the plant and you see the highlighted areas beneath the plant in the soil. That's the root of that plant. Okay. You can see how the taproot goes down further, but when it's highlighted like that, that's the root. Everything else that you see there, all of that white network is the mushroom mycelium.
Wow.
Okay. Now here's a benefit. If it doesn't rain and wet the soil near the plant root, the plant can't get up and go get a drink. However, if there's mushroom mycelium, mycorrhizal, that's attached itself to the root because they both benefit, it goes out into the soil, it is able to bring back water. Not only that, the mycelium has had lunch on its way, nibbled on a nutrient, and then brings the bioavailable nutrient back to the root. So when a plant has the nutrition that is available in the soil and not just the few nutritional bits that are available in a bottle of fertilizer, because fertilizer does not have those 18 nutrients. It has just enough to get the plant to fruit, but the nutrition is not there because the plant is not whole. The health of the plant is not whole. So you can see the benefit there. Now, I tell you that that is a relationship that they both enjoy. So what does the mycelium get out of this? It gets sugar from the plant in its photosynthesis process. So mycelium needs to get their food someplace else. Plants can make their own to some degree from the sun, right? So
That is beautiful.
Symbiotic relationship there. Now, let's talk about saprophilic fungi. Saprophilic means that it wants to eat dead wood. So that's why mushrooms grow on dead trees. So they help the soil. The mycorrhizal fungi, you can see, helps the plant itself, right? Because it brings a nutrient. It's plant centric. It's concentrating on the plant. The saprophilic fungi are the ones that mostly break down. They break down more of the nutrient. They decompose the organic matter. Okay. So they kind of have two separate things going on. They both do the same, but one's a whole lot better at it than the other one is. So it improves the nutrient cycling is what it's called. And that's why I've got the word spit there, just as a reminder that they're eating it and then they're sharing the leftovers with the plant. But without saprophilic fungi, there's no improvement in the soil structure. Okay. So if you take a look at a plant's life, whether it's a tree that loses its leaves and then the leaves decompose and put nutrients in the soil, or whether we're taking a look at what's left over from a wheat crop above the ground. So let's say it's harvested, but the nutrient that grew the stem and the leaves that are still there, and the nutrient that grew the leaves in the tree is still in the dead material. So when it drops to the ground, or if a farmer doesn't take it out and throw it away and just leaves it on top of the soil, then the microbes can break it down to make fresh topsoil and to put that leftover nutrient back into the soil. Okay? Nature is smart. It is so intelligent. The reason why I am so thrilled about these two different types of fungi is because science has proven that the other microbes, the bacteria, the beneficial bacteria and the beneficial yeast that the plants need don't come to the soil naturally unless, of course, there's fungi there first. So some of these soil supplements that you're buying that are a beneficial bacteria or a beneficial yeast, if the fungi is not already present and mycelium already present, then they book it. They don't stay. Okay? They either die off or they just get back into the air if they're able to find a way, and then they're gone. So in order to begin to revitalize dead soil, we need to, number one, stop killing what we're trying to put in, right? And so this is the first step in that process. Now,
and Kathryn, I have a question.
Bet.
The two different kinds, so the mycorrhizal and the saprorhizal fungi. What kind of mushrooms it corresponds to? Is that some
the saprophilic is what is left over from growing fresh chef quality mushrooms that go on people's plates. It's the farm leftover. The mycorrhizal fungi is a completely different cousin. They're both fungi, but they're different. So the farmer that grows mushrooms, his leftovers can go into the soil, but what it benefits is the soil. It's not the mycorrhizal that will connect to the root and then bring water and so forth. That's why when we were working on your trees, we did it in a two-step process. I now have it in a one-step process. But we did yours in a two-step process. We put the mycorrhizal fungi, spores, and ingredients into the soil. And then we went back with the saprophilic fungi that we grew on straw that we buried around your trees. So your fruit farm has both now in the soil. Okay? Let's take a look at another reason why the farmers want to kill everything. The red text that you see here are the pathogenic disease-causing microbes, may they be fungi or bacteria, and the nematodes, those little worms that cause plant disease. They're in there, okay? What most farmers don't know is that the beneficial two different types of fungi we put in the soil, and then their friends that show up because they're there and they created the environment for the bacteria and the yeast to also join them. When the soil has everything in it, the beneficial microbes eat the pathogenic. There's no reason to kill the pathogenic, disease-causing microbes that are in the soil, because when you have living soil that has both good and bad in it, the good guys win. Not only are they more numerous, but they have been designed to make sure that the others are dead, because their job is to create fresh soil and to make sure that there's nutrient and water in the soil so that everything that eats it gets to be healthier. So it's going to kill them. Okay. So in that first picture of the soil that we looked at, and I said, the farmers know that there's disease in the soil. There's the microbes that cause the disease that are in the soil. This is proof, scientific proof, that there's no reason to even set out to kill them. If you've got healthy soil that makes for healthy plants and the immune system is bolstered big time by both of these kinds of fungi in the soil, the plant immune system itself has got muscles. At that point, even if not all of the negative microbes are killed, they have no effect. This is a very important, because some people just kill everything, just try to stay away from a disease.
Yeah.
If I had billions of dollars, I would, if it was my job to kill a plant disease, I would obviously give it over to healthy soil. But the other thing that I would do, knowing that in nature, there is always something that kills something else, always, for
Right.
food, for nothing else, right? I would find out for a specific disease what kind of nature something would eat that. But here's what normally happens, they figure that out. But instead of multiplying all these in petri dishes or 5-gallon buckets like we did,
Mm.
they take it to a lab and reconstruct synthetically the thing to kill the disease. So they've got
Oh,
a
I
product
see.
to sell, right?
Mm.
When nature can take care of it. So again, to me, this is perfection. This is my dog.
Olaf.
This is Olaf. So I know that this looks like a weird transition, but I have a purpose for sharing my friend with you. Olaf is a Great Dane. Olaf was one of 6 pups that were born in the litter. He's the only surviving pup. His litter mates, due to a problem that the breeder made with recessive genes, and I'm liking that to a product that a farmer, a breeder would make in the soil. Olaf was born deaf. So we have a whole different system to talk to one another. Okay, so he's 165 pounds of friendship and love. But when he and I are the only ones home all day, no words are spoken because everything's hand signals, right? So here's what's happening. Because of his recessive gene problem, he's mostly white. Because of his recessive gene problem, his life expectancy has been cut in half. Normally, a Great Dane is 5 to 7 years. He's 2 years old now. And when he turns 3, I need to begin to prepare myself for my friend to pass away. Okay? So why am I sharing this with you? Because if I compare Olaf in his situation to what's happening in the soil or a plant that is grown in dead soil. So we've got a dog that only has 4 of his 5 senses, and we have plants that are missing nutrition and flavor. We have recessive genes that have cut his life short. We have fertilizers that are also killing plants and entire farmland. Okay. I will not allow my dog to breed because his recessive gene problem will be passed along. And I have made the decision that this human caused problem stops with me.
It's the lack of diversity that weakens the
Yes,
species.
yes. All of his pups
Mm.
would not have all of their senses,
Mm.
even if the mama had all of hers. Okay? So, because I'm responsible for him and I consider myself responsible, I will not allow him to breed. And in my mind, that also is a detriment to him because even a lion likes to see his new cubs.
Mm.
They get giddy. So here's my question is if you have soil that you're responsible for, may it be your front yard that just has grass. May it be a raised bed. May it be a garden in the soil or a farm that you control. Are you willing to take a look at what we've presented today and say, I can only be responsible for just this small portion, not the global problem, and do what Kathryn has decided to do with her dog, and that is to not allow the problem to be passed on.
Right.
Are you willing then to decide that enough is enough? Enough people have passed away with cancers directly caused by these products, and they're not done because millions more people already have eaten those products enough times that some of them are going to pass away with a reproductive cancer.
Right.
So, because this is a heartfelt situation for me, I have developed a product that has both kinds of mycelium in it. Okay. Now, you can get what's called grain spawn, which is a product in one of the in the series of products that are necessary to grow a culinary mushroom. You can buy grain spawn from any mushroom farm that has a laboratory or is working without one and is good at it. And you can put that in the soil after you've grown your home grow kit. What it does not have in it is the mycorrhizal fungi.
Mm-hmm.
The problem comes in the farmers believing that their chef quality mushrooms and mycorrhizal fungi are exactly the same thing. And for 10 years, so did I. It took further research to realize that when my customers were growing a home grow kit at home and they put it in the soil, they were indeed benefiting the soil. But they were not creating the network of mycelium that would bring fresh water and nutrient from beyond the root ball. Okay.
Right.
So I have a product that has both. This is one of the the yellow that you see in this first picture is the side of an inside of a 5-gallon bucket that we actually used around your fruit trees.
Yes.
I took straw and then I inoculated it with the grain spawn. And then it grew this white mycelium that you normally don't see. And then you and your husband put that around your trees. Okay. So it needs something to feed on. It originally comes on grain, which is food, but when you go to multiply that into your garden or around your trees, you need to have something. So if a customer purchased from me grain spawn with both of these kinds of products in it, then they would need to add dry leaves or compost or straw, such as this, in order to be able to give the food for the mycelium to then take over the area. Okay. So I can make it, or you can get it from another farmer and buy a mycorrhizal product separately. I am not the only game in town to fix your soil. This is so important to me that I want you to know that you can do that.
Mm.
If you would like me to help you with that, then a 5-pound bag of both kinds of fungi in it is $60. Depending on how you spread it to cover it, it'll cover from 200 to 400 square feet. If we took a look at only 300 square feet, right down the middle, it's only 20 cents a square foot to correct the soils problem. Okay.
That's nothing.
Per order. It's shipped in 3 weeks. Essentially, the process is this: you either dig down about 8 inches, and I realize that's hard to do in soil like we have here that is clay. If you can't dig down to be able to put some straw or leaves and this grain spawn in, then build the soil up, because it will in effect, make fresh topsoil for the top as the process goes on. Okay. I do want people to know that it's not intended for mushroom farming, outdoor mushroom farming. Some mushrooms will come up, but here's the thing. There's already fungi, hopefully fungi, in the soil that you're dealing with, which means you might get a typical yard mushroom to pop up, which you don't want to eat and you don't want your pets to eat either, right? So wherever you put this, just be smart and realize that you're revitalizing the soil. You're not making lunch. You're not growing lunch, right?
Yeah, you're revitalizing the soil to be able to eat what you're growing and not the.
Perfect. That's exactly right. Let's look in the lower right-hand corner at the bottom. That has my email address. It is Kathryn at MycoEarth.us, not .com. If you want more information about revitalizing the soil. And because Sandra is my friend and we're redoing her food forest in her backyard, it's
Exactly.
important to me that I'm available to you to be able to get a better grip on what this process looks like and then give you some options about how to deal with what you have. We'll talk about your soil. We can talk about how far the product will go. We'll talk about your soil type. And then we'll also talk about whether, and this is so important, it is possible to put a mushroom mycelium in a part of the country where it really shouldn't be and it would be considered invasive. Okay, because
Mhm.
it's going to grow and it's going to grow a long ways, which is the purpose. But with my business, because I'm not a typical mushroom farmer, I will research to make sure that the mushroom mycelium that is sent to you is native to where you are, which will benefit the entire area where you are. So there's no downside. There's no downside at all. But what you would need to do then is to email me and tell me that you're interested in the soil and give me your telephone number, and I will do my best to give you a holler back within 3 days, and we can talk about your soil type, we can talk about the process and what you're facing, and then we can go from there.
That's fantastic. And anyway, I'll put in the description your information, so everything's gonna be there too. And yes, even if it starts with your front yard or backyard, let's be a little colibri and do our part, okay?
Do our part. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Thank you so much for allowing me to share with your audience today.
That's me. I thank you, Kathryn. It was absolutely so amazing, and I'm sure so many people learn so much about it, and they already think about that front or backyard or even their the little piece of soil just to start something.
That's right.
Really.
Thank you again.
It's amazing to think that the same soil we've damaged so much can be brought back to life, and that it all starts with something as small and silent as mycelium. Kathryn's work shows us that when we protect and rebuild these underground networks, we're not just helping plants grow, we're restoring health to entire ecosystems and to ourselves. The good news is, nature already knows how to heal. We just have to give it a chance. Thank you for watching. And if you find this as eye-opening as I did, be sure to check out our other conversation about mushrooms as food and medicine. And let's find more ways we can work with nature to bring the earth back to life. If you enjoyed this video or learned something new, please don't forget to like, subscribe, click the little bell so you don't miss the next episode, and share it with someone who would need it. Thank you again and see you next time.